Okay, welcome back to Following Live. This is where once a month we'll take a couple markets, a currency and a futures market, and put them on a 90-minute or so time frame and map them with simple swings and gaps and see what we can learn from this. All right, so we used the Euro and the S&P E-Mini last month, and this is where we left off the Euro, the 90-minute chart. Just a reminder, we're just using swings. Major swings and minor swings, and swings going down. Same thing, major and minor. You see price making higher highs, higher lows. So I want to see, and I'll show. I have two trades this month, so I'll show what I did. But there's lots of ways to trade this once you can orient yourself to a chart. And just keep in mind, all we're trying to do with this is not make a magic system. There's lots to learn from this simple just following swings thing. But what I want to get is price moves in waves, whether it's minor waves or major waves, and I want to see waves. I don't want to be worried about all the news and craziness. I want to use that stuff, not get used by it. And so whenever we have a new leg, we just project it and use it as a reference point to orient ourselves. And on the way down, the same way. So I'll show you what I did in this, and then we'll see what we can learn. So price is going up. It's making higher highs, higher lows. There's every possibility for that to keep going. There's no system that's going to tell you for sure that it will or it won't. We need to use our tools. We can see prices on some kind of line. It's trying to keep going, right? Just get very simple. And then if that doesn't happen, then you know something's changed. Go the other way, right? Change with change. So with this, I'll show you what I did. And as long as you're using swings, I like this, right? I like this at the end of a possible swing, this little deadly drop. We can use swings and gaps on a smaller scale for entry. So for instance, there's a gap. And if you're not sure about the swings and gap mapping, you can go through the blogs. I do plenty on that. And so what I'm going to do here, what I did do, is plan on taking an entry on a swing to get into the bigger swing. Okay, so I just wanted to get into there, and it doesn't matter which one you draw. You might be drawing like this. See, that's kind of showing you what the market's doing right now. See, it's got a rhythm. This is a continued looking behavior. Just put a modified shift on. So this kind of thing, I take a lot of these trades. So this one, as price starts to pull back, I measure and I want to enter in over here, which gets me in. Now don't forget, you might also want to be selling this market. That's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not making a system. But if you want to sell it, or if you're long and you want to manage, you can take this swing and measure here. This is giving us a read and a handle on this market. So here's what this market did. So I'm just using swings and gaps. And this is very typical of what a market will do when it cracks and come back to the other side. Now, the important lesson here is once you get over crying over your trade that gets stopped someplace, whether you went to break even or you held your stop or you collapsed your risk, then you have to learn to, okay, it's not going up anymore. Get it? It's going down. So you have to learn to be able to fluidly change with it without getting stuck and hung on your premise. So now it's going down, and you do the same thing. Whenever the market starts to rise, now we're going to measure those swings. So now it's doing a continued behavior down. We can see it. Right, it's going about that at that clip. And we have a big fat ugly gap here. So let's see what this market gave us in the way of opportunity. And I mentioned in the last video here, if it turns, then we do major and minor all over again. So here's how that market ended up. And that's current. So it's still. So if you draw swing to swing like this, because you've mapped, you get a good set of lines that tell you where you might want to enter, throw a stop in above this guy, and that's not a horrible risk for a 3-to-1 trade. Wish I'd have took that one. All right, now the ES. The ES, we left off with a major, S&P E-Mini, and a minor and a major, and price was just cranking away. Didn't even give us a little swing yet, so let's see what happened. Let's keep the major in mind. So as soon as a new high got made, I'm following the minors. Right? Largest reaction leg's major, next largest minor. Anytime it pulls back, I'm following the minors. If you understand this market, these are perfectly acceptable trades to take. You're taking your risk. You don't know for sure whether the minors will hold or not. But we're following them. So I'm going to show you what I did with this. And I just tuned straight in following these swings because, geez, it went all month like this. And every time it pulled back, I'm looking. Okay, nice deadly drop into the swing. And new high. Outside bar at the top. I project and tries and no, new low. And so if you looked at the mapping videos, this is where you say, all right, this is my last swing broke. Price going up like this, like this, like this, like this. It turns. That's your last swing broke, literally. So what we do in this case is it's not going up anymore, so we map this guy to see where that might land. And this is where my particular trade came in. There's lots of ways to trade. This is just what I did. Okay. See, I want to come in here off of this outside bar, basically, zoom retest. And get stops above here with targets down here. And you can see I do can't get it all the way up here, but it's much more than a 3-to-1 trade. So we're bordering on a 4-to-1 trade for 40 handles here. But notice what I did, and this is something you can do also. You can zoom in, right? It calms the mind a little bit. You're trying to take in too much. I know I got a major here. There's lots of room to even get out to the major. But right here, I have a nice turn. I'm willing to play it. In I go, take a little bit of heat, out I go. So that's one way you can trade these. You can trade the minors here. But look at what I did. It's very simple. Watch. If I'm watching a market that's on a line like this, this is what the market is doing. See it? See the minors? That's what it's doing. If it's on this line, like so, and I'm watching, and then we crack the line, right? We're on the other side now. Right? It's giving us some information. And then later on, the market went past the major even and built a whole new major swing, and that's current. So if we're mapping this market now, this is your new major. And don't be offended if you drew a line here and it didn't hold. Right? What happened was the market expanded. This isn't a system, it's a way to orient. The swings got bigger, they grew up. Okay, so there was a lot to learn in this market. Again, once you can map, there's lots of ways you can trade this. Sometimes when the data gets to be too far away like this, I lose a connection. I like to get a little closer in and understand, which is what I did here. This is calming. This is what it's offering me. You can trade the longs, you can trade a switch. I traded a switch of that. All right, I don't care how much data you use. I tend to like to come in a little closer. It gives me a better connection to what's going on. So what's this market doing forward? Well, we have a major projection and we have a minor LSB here. And that's current here. So let's look at our next two markets. How about we come over here and let's do beans. All right, so let's follow beans, 90-minute bean chart. And if you don't have futures, I'm sure you can find a ETF or something equivalent that you can trade. So I'm going to go simple with beans. I'm not going to go back too far. It's been going down, 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 down. So I'm just going to take it from, say, here. All right, I'm going to look at my biggest swing here. I'm going to measure that. It's about that big. I'm going to project and say, you know, we're kind of beating it. Not by much. If I draw a line, you can see we're kind of beating that. Kind of riding along that edge there. And so now what I want to do is draw a swing the other way. So I'm going to look and understand my swings. So this is going to be my current map. And we'll study this a little bit. I kind of like this, right? You see here, we're coming down, we've got this tail and an outside bar swap. So things kind of change here, one way or the other. Okay, so that's our map. We'll leave it there. On the upside, gap wise, we can see, you know, this is where they dropped them off the cliff. So I don't know how this will end up using this month, but this was the transition. And so I see the possibility of swing. If it changes, well, that means it grew, it went the other way. For our next market, let's do the yen. We'll make it simple too. So kind of like the ES, you know, I'm going to focus in. I'm not going to worry about too much here, too much data. And if price changes, well, I'll change with change. Right, so I'm not even going to know. I don't care what's on the other side. I'm just going to map, say this is my biggest swing down. I'm going to make a little note here because there's a possible case that that's my swing. So I'm just going to make a little note here. As price turns up, I got a little something here, but it's about the same size. So I will keep an eye on this yen from here, and we'll follow it. And anytime things are a little bit unsure or unclear, don't worry. Give price some time. It will start to sort it out. You know, right now, one thing you can do to stay in touch with this market is to say, all right, they're little, but look, it is making some swings. About that big, about that big. Okay, so we can stay in touch and say, all right, if we quit making swings that big, this is a piece of information. All right, so this is the yen. We're going to use this as our major swing swapperoo. That's our reaction leg, and then we'll use that guy also and see what happens next month.